Morning light spilled across the vast Jurassic plains, painting the ferns and cycads in gold. Mist rose from the river valleys, curling around the ancient conifers like ghostly serpents. Titanor, a colossal diplodocus, moved with measured grace, his long neck arcing high above the foliage, scanning the horizon. Every step of his massive feet pressed into the soft earth, leaving impressions deep enough to hold water for small creatures. The plains were alive with sound. Insects hummed, small reptiles scuttled, and distant herbivores grazed in cautious clusters. Titanor's eyes flicked toward a distant ridge where smoke rose faintly from volcanic vents. The earth had begun its restless stirring again. His instincts flared. Fire meant danger, change, and the shifting of the land he had roamed for decades. Yet he did not panic. Experience had carved wisdom into his vast frame. Survival demanded awareness, patience, and respect for the rhythms of the world. His long tail swept behind him, brushing ferns aside, a silent reminder of the power that lurked in his body. Though primarily a gentle giant, Titanor knew that predators prowled these plains: Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, and packs of raptors, each waiting for a chance to challenge the unsuspecting. His herd moved in a loose line behind him, calves in the center, mothers flanking them. Safety in numbers had long been a law written into his kind's memory. The sun climbed higher, and a distant bellow rolled across the valleys. Titanor's ears twitched. The call belonged not to his herd, but to a rival male. Territorial disputes had grown more frequent as food sources dwindled near the riverbanks. Titanor's muscles tensed beneath his hide. His instinct was to stand, to show strength without unnecessary conflict. But dominance was measured not in threat alone. Sometimes it demanded confrontation. The rival appeared as a shadow against the morning haze, a diplodocus of comparable size, neck raised, plates glinting under the sun. Titanor let out a deep rumble, a signal of recognition and warning. The rival paused, assessing, calculating. Then, with a thunderous step, it advanced. Titanor mirrored the motion, neck swaying, tail arching in deliberate defense. The earth trembled beneath the weight of giants. Their heads met with a clash of bone and muscle, a force that reverberated across the valley. Dust rose in clouds, mingling with the scent of crushed ferns and mud. Titanor pushed with all his might, muscles coiling and releasing, testing the rival's endurance. Time stretched and contracted in the struggle, measured by breath, heartbeat, and the slow, deliberate movements of two colossal titans locked in a battle of wills. The rival hesitated, then retreated, acknowledging Titanor's dominance. The herd watched in awe, calves pressing closer to their mothers, eyes wide. The plains, momentarily silent, returned to life with birds' calls and the rustle of leaves. Titanor exhaled, muscles relaxing as the tension ebbed. He had survived the challenge, asserting his role as guardian of the herd. Hours passed. Titanor led the herd toward a river, the water glinting under the high sun. The calves splashed playfully as the adults drank, their massive necks dipping and rising with slow, rhythmic grace. For a moment, the world was calm, a fleeting interlude in the constant ballet of survival. But the day was far from over. From the shadowed edge of the forest, predators emerged, an Allosaurus pair, sleek and hungry, eyes fixed on the youngest calves. Titanor's tail whipped, swinging like a pendulum of iron. Roars and cries erupted as the battle unfolded. The herd pressed together, Titanor at the center, his tail striking with lethal precision. One Allosaurus faltered, yelping, before retreating into the undergrowth. Survival demanded vigilance, and Titanor had proven his mettle. The forest shifted as storms approached. Dark clouds rolled across the sky, wind tearing through the canopy with ferocity. Rain fell, heavy and relentless, turning the plains into a mosaic of mud and rivers. Titanor led the herd through the storm, finding higher ground along a ridge. Lightning flashed across volcanic peaks, illuminating his massive form like a living monument. The calves huddled against him, trusting in his strength, in the calm authority of a giant who had endured decades of change and challenge. Seasons changed, rivers swelled and dried. The herd migrated across the plains, navigating deep valleys and marshlands, avoiding predators and natural hazards. Titanor's knowledge of the land paths, water sources, shelters became their lifeline. His leadership, born of instinct and experience, ensured the survival of the youngest, the weak, and the vulnerable. One day, the herd reached a valley overlooked by cliffs where the sun painted long shadows across the ferns. Titanor raised his head high, scanning the horizon. In the distance, he saw herds of other herbivores, some rivals, others peaceful. The world was vast, dangerous, and beautiful. Yet here, beneath the eternal sky, he stood as a guardian, a sentinel, a survivor. Time passed, the calves grew, learning the rhythms of the land. Predators came and went, volcanoes grumbled in the distance. Yet Titanor endured, his body scarred but proud, his mind sharp, and his spirit unbroken. He had seen seasons of plenty and seasons of famine, moments of violence and fleeting peace. Through it all, he remained the steady force around which life turned. At sunset, Titanor raised his head against the blazing sky, the last rays illuminating his long neck and armored skull. His tail swept slowly, rhythmically, across the plain, and a breeze carried the scent of life water, earth, ferns, and the pulse of creatures all around. In that instant, he was not just a dinosaur. He was a monument to survival, endurance, and the majesty of life itself. The plains stretched endlessly before him, rivers winding like silver threads through the green expanse. Titanor let out a deep, resonant call, echoing across the valley. It was a sound of presence, of endurance, of hope. The calves responded, their small calls weaving into the chorus of life. The forest, the rivers, the sky, they all bore witness. And under the eternal gaze of the stars, Titanor the Diplodocus stood unbowed, a guardian, a giant, a living legacy of the Jurassic plains. Survival was never guaranteed, but in his vast, enduring form, it had been achieved. The world would continue to shift and change. Rivers would flood, forests would burn, predators would stalk, and mountains would crumble. Yet Titanor's story, like the echoes of his call, would linger, a testament to the grandeur and resilience of life in a prehistoric world. And as night descended, the plains were alive with quiet awe. Titanor, eternal and majestic, moved slowly into the shadows, carrying with him the hope of tomorrow.